What if the war you think you're still fighting is already over? What if heaven already decided, and you're just now realizing it? This is not a random message. It's not for someone out there. It's for you. Something shifted in the spiritual realm. And if you're watching this, it's because God is confirming the season has changed. But will you recognize it, or keep living like you're still under attack? Stay with me, because what you're about to hear could change how you walk, pray, and lead from this day forward. Topic 1. Heaven has already declared the end of the battle. There are moments when what you're still wrestling with in the natural has already been settled in the supernatural. While your heart still feels the weight of the struggle and your mind still replays the battle, heaven has already spoken. It is finished. The war that consumed your thoughts, drained your emotions, and wore down your hope, that war is over in the courts of heaven. The problem is, most people wait for visible proof to believe, when in reality the spiritual realm moves first, and the natural catches up later. You don't need to see the breakthrough to believe it, you need to discern what heaven has already decreed. And right now, whether you feel it or not, heaven has ruled in your favor. This is not a motivational phrase, it's a prophetic statement. The moment you stayed faithful, the moment you trusted God when it made no sense, the moment you lifted your hands in worship through tears, heaven acknowledged your posture and the verdict was declared, victory released. Many believers are still fighting like the outcome is uncertain, when in truth the battle was never about who would win, it was about whether you would stay standing until the victory was revealed. What God finishes, no one can reverse. But the enemy wants you distracted, exhausted, doubting, because if you believe you're still in the war, you won't step into the promise. That's why this word is so important. You're not in the middle of a battle, you're in the moment after heaven said, it's done. You just haven't fully seen the manifestation yet. But in the spirit, the weapons have been dropped, the resistance has been broken, and the storm has passed, even if the clouds linger. You are already on the other side of it. You are walking in the aftermath of a war that has ended by divine command. The angels have marked your obedience, the heavens have recorded your perseverance, and now all that remains is for your faith to align with the victory God already wrote in your name. So how do you respond to this kind of declaration? You shift your mindset. You stop praying as a victim and start decreeing as a victor. You stop begging for deliverance and start walking in dominion. This is not the season to doubt. This is the season to advance. Heaven has already written the next chapter, and the headline is not still fighting, it's already won. Your battle has become your testimony. Your pain has become your platform. The suffering was real, but it has expired. The spiritual battle was brutal, but it birthed something eternal. Now it's time to walk like one who carries the crown of survival, the authority of obedience, and the peace that only comes after a war that God Himself ended. Don't wait for the world to validate what God already confirmed. Live like someone whose war is over, because heaven already declared it is. Topic 2. The war was fought in the invisible. Not every battle leaves a visible scar. Some of the most intense wars you've ever faced happened in silence, behind your smile, under the surface of your daily life. While people around you saw someone doing okay, the truth is, you were fighting thoughts that tried to paralyze you. You were wrestling with fears that wanted to rewrite your identity. You endured nights where sleep never came, where tears fell on pillows no one else saw. But just because others didn't witness the war doesn't mean it wasn't real. In fact, the invisible battles are often the most significant ones in the kingdom of God. And you survived a war that would have taken others out. The war was in your mind, in your heart, in the hidden places, where doubt screams louder and the enemy's lies feel more convincing. But you stood. You didn't give in. And heaven took note of that. This wasn't just a season of stress. It was a spiritual confrontation. You were up against unseen forces, discouragement, spiritual fatigue, anxiety, confusion, and while no one else could name it, your spirit knew something was happening beyond the physical. You weren't just tired, you were under attack. You weren't just unsure, there was resistance in the atmosphere. But here's the truth, for every invisible punch, heaven released an invisible defense. For every lie spoken to your soul, God whispered truth louder into your spirit. While you felt weak, He was strengthening you without you even realizing it. And every time you chose to worship through the pressure, to speak life when you felt death breathing down your neck, you won a war no one else could see, but the heavens recorded every move. The silence didn't mean God was absent. It meant the battle was sacred. That's why this victory is so precious. Because it wasn't public. It wasn't loud. It wasn't posted or praised. But it was real. You survived hell in silence. You stood firm in a storm that had no name, Yet every day you showed up, chose faith, resisted bitterness, forgave silently, prayed without answers, and loved when you were hurting. That is spiritual strength. That is victory heaven celebrates. And now, what was fought in the unseen is about to be rewarded in the open. God is not unjust to forget what you endured in the shadows. He is about to honor what no one else applauded, because in the kingdom, those who win quietly are often trusted with the loudest breakthroughs. What you faced in the invisible shaped you more than any visible challenge ever could. And now that the war is over, you will walk with a peace no storm can shake, because it was forged in the middle of a war no one but God saw you win. Topic 3. You remained firm when everything was pressing against you. There are moments in life when everything seems to be pressing you to quit, and yet, somehow, you don't. Not because you're strong on your own, but because something deeper inside whispers, hold on just a little longer. That voice? That was the Spirit of God sustaining you. You could have walked away. You could have collapsed under the pressure, the exhaustion, the confusion. No one would have blamed you if you had given up. But you didn't. You stayed. You remained planted when everything around you was shaking. That faith, quiet, raw, tear-soaked, is what moved the heavens. God doesn't just reward grand displays of strength. He honors the still, small acts of perseverance. The choice to get up and keep walking. The moment you kept believing when every prayer seemed unanswered. You didn't even realize it, but your consistency under pressure was prophetic warfare, and it broke things in the unseen. You see, the enemy wasn't just after your emotions, he was after your position. Because if he could get you to move, to doubt, to walk away from what God told you to hold on to, he could interrupt the very breakthrough that was being prepared for you. But you stood your ground. Even when your heart was breaking. Even when the promises seemed far. Even when people questioned your faith, or worse, when your own thoughts became your greatest enemy. And yet, you chose not to bow to fear, not to be ruled by feelings. That spiritual resilience, that obedience under pressure, is what made all the difference. God doesn't forget that kind of obedience. It was your stillness in the storm that activated heaven's movement. Sometimes we think obedience looks like doing something big, but often obedience is simply not moving until God says so. And that's what you did. You endured, and that endurance is holy in the eyes of heaven. Now the shift begins. Because when God sees that you remained in place, trusted his timing, and honored his voice despite the silence, that's when the atmosphere begins to change. That's when doors start opening, not because of new effort, but because of old obedience. You didn't have to fight your way to victory, you had to remain. And you did. And now, the oil that comes after the crushing, the strength that follows surrender, the favor that was delayed by divine design, it all starts to flow. You didn't just survive the pressure, you matured through it. And that maturity is your new mantle. You won't walk the same. You won't think the same. Because the pressing didn't break you, it refined you. And what the enemy thought would push you out actually pushed you deeper into God's presence. That's why you're still standing. And that's why heaven is about to respond, not to what you said, but to how you stayed. Topic 4. Heaven validated your posture. There are moments when the world says nothing, but heaven says everything. You may not have received recognition. No one may have clapped when you obeyed. No one noticed when you chose integrity over popularity, prayer over panic, or purity over compromise. But heaven did. The silence of people never equals the silence of God. And while others were too distracted to see your obedience, heaven saw it clearly, and responded. Your posture of faith even when you didn't feel strong, your decision to trust when you didn't understand, your refusal to quit when it would have been easier, all of that became a signal in the Spirit. And God is not a passive observer. Heaven validates what man overlooks. You didn't do it to be seen, but you were seen by the only one who truly matters. And his validation isn't a like, it's a move. He doesn't respond with applause, he responds with breakthrough. You didn't just believe, you believed consistently. You didn't just worship, you worshiped through weeping. You didn't just stay faithful, you stayed when nothing was moving. And that's what turned a hard season into holy ground. God does not ignore endurance. In fact, every act of spiritual resistance, every time you said no to what could have derailed you, every time you chose to bless instead of curse, to forgive instead of retaliate, heaven recorded it as evidence. Evidence that you could be trusted. Evidence that your heart remained aligned. And now the judge of all things has made a ruling. Your case has been reviewed. And the verdict is victory. Not just the end of a battle, but the reward for remaining in position. This is more than the closing of a season, it's the beginning of divine recompense. The kind of reward that only comes to those who stay in the fire long enough to come out with the fragrance of worship still on them. When heaven validates something, it doesn't need human confirmation. It becomes undeniable. Favor begins to flow where resistance once stood. Clarity begins to come where confusion once clouded you. Things begin to accelerate not because you forced them but because heaven lifted the weight. And that's where you are now. God is confirming your faithfulness with movement. Not just spiritual movement but tangible shifts, alignments, divine interruptions, open doors, closed ones too. Don't be surprised if things begin to move rapidly. It's heaven responding to the weight of your unwavering spirit. You didn't just go through a battle. You passed a test. And because of that, you're not just being released into a new season, you're being trusted with a new level of authority. And it all started with a posture that heaven could not ignore. Topic 5. A new season begins now. There is a shift happening, and it's not coming, it's already here. Sometimes, the most spiritual thing you can do is recognize when a season has ended. You've cried enough tears for that chapter. You've fought enough battles for that lesson. You've carried enough weight for that level. Heaven has already turned the page. And now the only thing left is for you to stop rereading what God has already closed. A new season doesn't begin when circumstances change. It begins when God says it begins. And right now He is declaring over your life. The time of waiting, the time of pressure, the time of wondering if it will ever happen, is over. Not because you earned your way out, but because He, in His mercy, declared the time is fulfilled. What was once delayed is now released. What was once locked is now opening. This is not hype, it's the manifestation of a divine cycle completed. Every season has its signs. In the old one it was pressure, dryness, stretching, and testing. But now the signs are shifting. You'll begin to feel clarity where confusion used to live, peace where there was turmoil, flow where there was resistance. This is not coincidence. It's the indicator that you've crossed into a new realm. But listen carefully, just because it's a new season doesn't mean it will feel familiar. Sometimes the beginning of breakthrough feels uncomfortable, because your soul is adjusting to light after living in darkness too long. Don't resist the new just because it feels unfamiliar. God is not repeating the past. He is doing a new thing, and it won't look like what you expected, but it will exceed what you prayed for. You won't have to force it. The doors will open naturally. The right people will appear at the right time. And opportunities will come not to tempt you but to align you. That's the sign of a God-ordained season. Things begin to align with your obedience. And now it's time to move like someone who believes the season has changed. You can't carry old mentalities into new moments. Let go of survival thinking. You're not just surviving anymore, you're stepping into a space where you can breathe, build, and bless others from a place of overflow. The old season tried to deplete you, but it only refined you. And that refining has prepared you for what's next. Don't be afraid to take bold steps now. Don't hesitate to dream again. The ground is different, things will grow now. The heavens have shifted in your favor, and the anointing that carried you through the storm is now propelling you into purpose. The wilderness was necessary, but it is no longer your home. Step forward. Step fully. Step freely. Because this isn't just a change of days, it's a divine reset. And the voice of heaven is clear. Your new season has begun. Topic 6. Victory comes with protection. Victory is not just about reaching a destination, it's about being kept once you get there. Too many people celebrate the win but forget to guard the ground they just gained. But here's the beauty of heaven's way. God never grants victory without also releasing protection. If He brought you out of the storm, He's not about to leave you vulnerable to another one. If He elevated you, He won't allow the enemy to pull you down easily. With every new level comes a new layer of covering. The kind of covering that surrounds not just your physical life but your emotions, your spirit, your mind, your calling. When God says, "The battle is over," He doesn't just walk away. He places a shield around the outcome, preserving what He delivered you into. And if you're feeling a strange calm after chaos, that's not emptiness. That's heaven's barrier silencing the enemy. One of the enemy's favorite tactics is to attack after the battle is won. When your guard is down, when you're finally breathing again, when you've just stepped into rest. That's why God reinforces His protection in those moments. The angels that fought alongside you don't leave after the victory, they stay positioned. The warfare may have stopped, but the watch hasn't. What you've gained is too valuable to lose. That's why God is not just fighting for you, He's fortifying around you. He's canceling spiritual backlashes. He's blocking hidden sabotage. He's quieting voices of accusation that want to steal your peace. And more than anything, He's protecting the new you, the version of you that came out of the fire wiser, deeper, stronger. This is sacred territory now. And God is jealous over what He just delivered. You're not just covered, you're being kept. So walk with confidence, not paranoia. Don't wait for the next hit. Expect preservation. Expect peace. Expect a wall of fire around your life, the kind that keeps the enemy at a distance and invites the presence of God in closer. Protection doesn't mean nothing will ever go wrong. It means no weapon formed will prosper. It means what tried before will fail now. It means God has placed you in a divine perimeter where His promises are guarded and His purposes are shielded. You're no longer in survival mode. You're under a prophetic canopy. And when God covers you, no darkness can touch you without His permission. So rest, worship, build, love, lead. You're protected, not because you're perfect, but because God has declared, "This one is mine, and I will keep what I've crowned with victory." Topic 7. Rest is not weakness, it's reward. Rest is not a pause from progress. It is part of the process. And for those who have endured long seasons of warfare, stress, waiting, or obedience in silence, rest is not just a gift, it's a divine reward. You've been conditioned to think that if you're not striving, you're falling behind. But in the kingdom, striving is not strength. Surrender is. Rest is not quitting. It's what comes after obedience has done its work. It's what heaven gives when the assignment was fulfilled with integrity. Many think they're being lazy when they're actually stepping into Sabbath, not just a day but a spiritual posture of peace. And for you, this is the shift. You don't have to hustle to keep what God already gave you. Rest is the evidence that the battle is truly over. And more than that, it's what heals the wounds you couldn't even see while fighting. You've been in survival mode for so long that peace feels foreign. But God is reintroducing you to the rhythm of grace. He's teaching you that not every open door is yours to run through. Some doors are for later. Some aren't yours at all. Rest helps you discern the difference. You don't have to say yes to everything to prove your worth. The season you're in now doesn't require performance, it requires presence. And your presence, fully surrendered, is enough for God to move. Rest isn't weakness. It's strength wrapped in stillness. It's trusting that God can do more in your stillness than you ever could in your striving. It's not a delay, it's divine positioning. You're not falling behind, you're being restored. And restoration is necessary to carry the weight of what's coming next. So don't fight the rest. Don't feel guilty for breathing again, for laughing, for sleeping, for slowing down. God is not disappointed, He's delighted. He's not pacing in frustration, He's sitting with you in peace. Because rest is also where revelation flows, where clarity returns, where intimacy with God deepens. And right now, He's more interested in your alignment than your achievements. What's ahead will demand your strength, but this is your moment to receive, to exhale, to be healed from the weariness that obedience brought. You've fought with honor. You've trusted when others mocked. And now the shepherd says, "Lie down. Let me restore your soul." Not everything that moves is alive. But you, in your stillness, will carry life, power, and wisdom. Because your rest is your revival. And your reward is just beginning. Topic 8. Live as someone who has already won. You're not waiting to be victorious. You already are. The victory wasn't just promised, it was purchased. When God declared the end of the battle in your life, it wasn't just about the closing of a chapter. It was the release of a new identity. You are no longer the fighter, you are the crowned. And that means it's time to live, think, and move like someone who has already won. Too many people live their lives as if they're stuck in a war that ended spiritually weeks, months, or even years ago. They pray like victims, speak like survivors, and plan like slaves, but God is calling you to shift. Your mindset must now match your miracle. The war is over. The verdict is settled. And your new assignment is not to fight for victory, but to walk in it, live from it, and release it. When you live as someone who has already won, your decisions are no longer driven by fear, pressure, or need. You stop reacting and start discerning. You stop chasing and start attracting. You begin to govern your atmosphere, not be governed by it. Why? Because victory gives you authority. Not arrogance, but alignment. You begin to speak from a place of seated confidence, not desperation. You forgive quicker. You release easier. You love deeper. You no longer need to defend your past because your life is proof of transformation. Your words carry weight because they're not trying to convince, they're rooted in truth. And your presence brings peace because you're not striving to be seen, you're walking as someone already known by heaven. This is the fruit of victory, not just breakthrough but identity. Not just peace but perspective. You are no longer who the battle tried to break. You are who the fire refined. So lift your head. Straighten your shoulders. Speak like someone who carries heaven's endorsement. Think like someone who already crossed over. Plan like someone whose future is secure. Love like someone whose heart has been healed. You're not chasing validation, you're walking in confirmation. Heaven has already said yes over your life. Now it's time for you to say yes too, with your posture, your choices, your pace. From today forward, you will no longer bow to the shadow of what you used to fear. You will stand, walk, and lead like one who knows the war is over, the shift has come, and your life is now a banner of God's victory. This is not the end. This is the beginning of everything that was waiting for you on the other side of faith. Now go and live as someone who has already won. If this word spoke to your spirit, don't let it pass by. Hit the like button, not just to support the video, but as a declaration that you received it. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to this channel. This isn't just content, it's a stream of prophetic direction designed for moments like this. God is speaking, and this is a place where His voice will continue to meet you. So don't miss what's coming next. Turn on the notification bell, stay connected, and remember, you're not who you were. You're who God says you are, victorious,